A foggy night enveloped a seaside amusement park, abandoned and shrouded in an atmosphere of mystery. The silence, broken only by the creaking of rusty structures, gave way to an unusual sound. The carousel spun on its own, its lights flickering irregularly, like ghosts dancing in the darkness. The Mystery Inc. group arrived at the scene, drawn by the locals' frightening reports. While Shaggy and Scooby exchanged nervous glances, Fred, Daphne, and Velma showed determination, crossing the rusted gates ready to unravel yet another mystery. As soon as they began investigating, a disturbing sound of distant laughter echoed through the decaying attractions, heightening the tension. Fred led the group to the carousel, which seemed to be the epicenter of something sinister. The sculptures of the horses were marked with deep scratches, as if a creature had clawed into them. Velma, examining the ground, found footprints that started in the sand and mysteriously vanished. Meanwhile, Daphne, drawn by a golden gleam, found a medallion stuck to one of the horses. Scooby and Shaggy, on the other hand, turned their attention to an abandoned popcorn cart, trying to ease their fear with a potential snack. When Daphne removed the medallion from the carousel, a strong wind blew in from the sea, bringing with it a salty smell and a sound that resembled a lament. Suddenly, a thunderous scream led them to the funhouse, where a shadowy figure appeared in one of the mirrors. A ghostly pirate with glowing eyes and a cruel grin stared back at them through the glass. Fred attempted to approach, but the mirror shattered into 1,000 shards, scattering across the floor. Etched on the remaining glass, Velma read aloud a chilling message. The cursed treasure must remain buried. Following the new clues, the group decided to explore the rusted roller coaster. Daphne climbed the old tracks, finding a frayed rope and a bag that seemed to belong to a sailor. Inside the bag were folded, worn fragments of nautical maps. Meanwhile, Shaggy and Scooby, trying to distance themselves from the tension, stumbled upon a hidden entrance beneath the park. The narrow, moss-covered passage seemed perilous, but Fred insisted it was their next step in uncovering the mystery. The tunnel led the group to a hidden chamber, illuminated by still-burning torches. At the center was an ancient chest, surrounded by rusted swords and algae-covered anchors. As Velma approached, the medallion in Daphne's hand began to glow intensely, emitting a strange heat. At that moment, the pirate ghost reappeared, his laughter echoing off the stone walls as he proclaimed, "No one will leave here alive with my treasure." Tension gripped the group, but Fred began to realize that the carousel might be connected to the underground system. Fred deduced that the carousel controlled a hidden mechanism capable of creating illusions to scare away intruders. He attempted to disable the system but was interrupted by a masked figure attacking him with an iron rod. Daphne, noticing something familiar in the attacker's movements, ran to confront him. Meanwhile, Scooby and Shaggy, hiding behind barrels, accidentally knocked over a lamp that partially revealed the masked figure's face. The mystery was far from solved, but the pieces were beginning to fall into place. Velma analyzed the pirate hologram, discovering it was a projection controlled by advanced equipment hidden throughout the park. The villain was the caretaker, Mr. Marlowe, who used the system to keep curious individuals away while searching for the treasure. He also manipulated the carousel to activate the underground mechanism. Before they could capture him, a sudden storm struck the park, plunging everything into chaos. Lightning illuminated the sky, and the carousel spun faster and faster as if it were alive. During the storm, Scooby and Shaggy accidentally activated a lever that revealed a second hidden chamber. At the heart of the park, the group found a room filled with detailed maps and ancient manuscripts. Velma concluded that the true treasure wasn't gold, but valuable information about pirate roots. However, the pirate hologram reappeared, now even more realistic and frightening. Fred decided they had to stop the carousel at all costs, while Daphne attempted to use the medallion to slow it down. The final confrontation began as the group chased Marlowe throughout the park. Daphne managed to use the medallion's glow to weaken the carousel, while Velma deactivated the last commands of the holographic system. Marlowe, in desperation, tried to destroy the maps, but Fred and Scooby cornered him inside one of the attractions. At last, the villain was captured, and the group was able to calmly analyze the details of the mystery that had haunted the park. With the villain handed over to local authorities, Velma presented the documents, explaining that the park had been built over the remains of a famous pirate ship. The carousel, now still, seemed to have fulfilled its role in protecting the pirates' secrets. Shaggy and Scooby, still shaken, found a dolphin trapped in a nearby tank, freed the animal, and celebrated what they called a small act of heroism. The park, partially destroyed by the storm, became a historical landmark. The medallion was given to a local museum, but Daphne, holding it one last time, felt an inexplicable chill. "Maybe the pirate spirit is still here," she murmured, gazing at the horizon. Fred tried to reassure the group, but even he seemed to carry a sense that not everything had been completely resolved. As the group prepared to leave, the carousel turned slowly one more time, emitting an almost imperceptible sound. Smiling, Fred said, "We can consider this mystery solved." Velma agreed, but adjusted her glasses, still reflecting on the case's complex layers. Something unseen seemed to linger, like a whisper in the salty breeze surrounding the park. In the fog covering the park, a shadow seemed to dance around the carousel, while faint laughter echoed in the distance. Scooby and Shaggy, visibly frightened, ran into the mystery machine, eager to leave. Fred and Daphne followed close behind, while Velma looked back, reflecting on what they had left behind. The park, though investigated, still held an air of mystery. On their way to the next adventure, the group discussed their discoveries. Velma pondered the historical implications of the pirate roots, while Fred thought about ways to improve their traps for future cases. Daphne, touching the medallion in her pocket, felt it still held secrets. Scooby and Shaggy, oblivious to the seriousness, laughed and enjoyed the last snacks they had found in the park. As the van disappeared into the horizon, the park remained silent, except for the creaking of the carousel, which spun one last time before coming to a complete stop. A breeze passed, and the sound of distant laughter echoed, as if the pirate's spirit were waiting for another visitor. The case seemed closed, but the mystery of the cursed carousel lived on, awaiting the next brave soul to explore it.